Good evening. Isn't that beautiful? Hi, welcome. Welcome to another reading of 1001 Nights. The music you hear in the background is by Camille Sadiri. Isn't it beautiful? All right. I hope you all had a great day. It is icy cold in Vienna. I don't know, it feels like -8 or -10, and that's why I felt like putting on a lot of makeup, because I thought maybe it's going to make me feel good. My logic. But I kind of like red. I know Joanna likes red too. All right, so those of you who don't know, we are currently at Aladdin's story. Well, I'm saying Aladdin, it's actually Ala al-Din. And Jafar is also in the picture, just like in the Disney one. And he is the vizier, but he doesn't seem mean so far. So let's see what's going to happen. Enjoy the reading. Now when it was, Now when it was the 258th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the prince of true believers said to that merchant, Bring me 50 loads of stuffs, such as come from Cairo, and let each one be worth 1,000 dinars, and write on each bale its price, and bring me also a male Abyssinian slave." The merchant did the bidding of the caliph, who committed to the slave a basin and ewer of gold and other presents, together with the 50 loads, and wrote a letter to Ala al-Din as from his father Shams al-Din, and said to him, "Take these bales, and what else is with them, and go to such and such a quarter wherein dwelleth the provost of the merchants, and say, Where be Ala al-Din Abu Al Shamat, till folk direct thee to his quarter and his house." So the slave took the letter, and the goods, and what else, and fared forth on his errand. Such was his case. But as regards Zubaydah's cousin and first husband, he went to her father and said to him, "Come, let us go to Ala al-Din and make him divorce the daughter of my uncle." So they set out, both together, and when they came to the street in which the house stood, they found 50 he-mules laden with bales of stuffs, and a slave riding on a she-mule. So they said to him, "Whose loads are these?" He replied, "They belong to my lord, Ala al-Din Abu Al Shamat, for his father equipped him with merchandise and sent him on a journey to Baghdad city. But the wild Arabs came forth against him and took his money and goods and all he had. So when the ill news reached his father, he dispatched me to him with these loads in lieu of those he had lost, besides a mule laden with 50,000 dinars, a parcel of clothes worth a power of money, a robe of sables, and a basin and ewer of gold." Whereupon the lady's father said, "He whom thou seekest is my son-in-law, and I will show thee his house." Meanwhile, Ala al-Din was sitting at home in huge concern, when lo, one knocked at the door, and he said, "O Zubaydah, Allah is all-knowing, but I fear thy father has sent me an officer from the Qazi or the chief of police." Quoth she, "Go down and see what it is." So he went down, and opening the door, found his father-in-law, the provost of the merchants, with an Abyssinian slave, dusky complexioned and pleasant of favour, riding on a mule. When the slave saw him, he dismounted and kissed his hands. And Ala al-Din said, "What dost thou want?" He replied, "I am the slave of my lord, Ala al-Din Abu Al Shamat, son of Shams al-Din, consul of the merchants for the land of Egypt, who has sent me to him with this charge." Then he gave him the letter, and Ala al-Din, opening it, found written what followeth. "O thou, my letter, when my friend shall see thee, kiss thou the ground and buss his sandal shoon. Look thou hie softly, and thou hasten not. My life and rest are in those hands so boon." After hearty salutations and congratulations and high estimations from Shams al-Din to his son Abu Al Shamat, "Know, O my son, that news hath reached me of the slaughter of thy man and the plunder of thy monies and goods. So I send thee herewith 50 loads of Egyptian stuff, together with a suit of clothes and a robe of sables, and a basin and ewer of gold. Fear thou no evil, and the goods thou hast lost were the ransom of thy life. So regret them not, and may no further grief befall thee. Thy mother and the people of the house are doing well in health and happiness, and all greet thee with abundant greetings. Moreover, my son, it hath reached me that they have married thee by way of intermediary to the lady Zubaydah, the lutist, and they have imposed on thee a marriage settlement of 10,000 dinars. Wherefore, I sent thee also 50,000 dinars by the slave Salim." Now when Ala al-Din had made an end of reading the letter, he took possession of the loads, and turning to the provost, said to him, "O my father-in-law, take the 10,000 dinars, the marriage settlement of thy daughter Zubaydah, and take also the loads of goods and dispose of them, and thine be the profit. Only return me the cost price." He answered, "Nay, by Allah, I will take nothing. And as for thy wife's settlement, do thou settle the matter with her." Then, after the goods had been brought in, they went to Zubaydah, and she said to her sire, "O my father, whose loads be these?" He said, "These belong to thy husband, Ala al-Din. His father hath sent them to him instead of those whereof the wild Arabs spoiled him. Moreover, he hath sent him 50,000 dinars, with a parcel of clothes, a robe of sables, a she-mule for riding, and a basin and ewer of gold. As for the marriage settlement, that is for thy recking." Thereupon Ala al-Din rose, and opening the money box, gave her a settlement, and the lady's cousin said, "O my uncle, let him divorce to me my wife." But the old man replied, "This may never be now, for the marriage tie is in his hand." Thereupon the young man went out, sore afflicted and sadly vexed, and returning home fell sick, for his heart had received its death blow. So he presently died. But as for Ala al-Din, after receiving his goods, he went to the bazaar, and buying what meats and drinks he needed, made a banquet as usual against the night, saying to Zubaydah, "See these lying dervishes? They promised us and broke their promises." Quoth she, "Thou art the son of a consul of the merchants, yet was thy hand short of half a dirham. How then should it be with the poor dervishes?" Quoth he, "Almighty Allah hath enabled us to do without them, but if they come to us, never again will I open my door to them." She asked, "Why so?" when as their coming footsteps brought us good luck, and moreover they put 100 dinars under the prayer carpet for us every night. Perforce must thou open the door to them, and they come. So when day departed with its light, and in gloom came night, they lighted the wax candles, and he said to her, Rise, Zubaydah, make us music. And behold, at this moment, someone knocked at the door, and she said, Go and look, who is at the door? So he went down and opened it, and seeing the dervishes said, Oh, fair welcome to the liars. Come up. Accordingly they went up with him, and he seated them and brought them the tray of food, and they ate and drank and became merry and mirthful, and presently said to him, O my lord, our hearts have been troubled for thee. What hath passed between thee and thy father-in-law? He answered, Allah compensated us beyond and above our desire. Rejoined they, By Allah, we were in fear for thee. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Now when it was the 259th night, Saman, I'm not that comfortable today, I don't know why. Oh, I know. She said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the dervishes thus addressed Ala al-Din, By Allah, we were in fear for thee, and naught kept us from thee but our lack of cash and coin. Quoth he, Speedy relief hath come to me from my lord, for my father hath sent me 50,000 dinars and 50 loads of stuff, each load worth 1,000 dinars. Besides a riding mule, a robe of sables, an Abyssinian slave, and a basin and ewer of gold. Moreover, I have made my peace with my father-in-law, and my wife hath become my lawful wife by my paying her settlement. So laud to Allah for that. Presently, the Caliph rose to do a necessity, whereupon Jafar bent him towards Ala al-Din and said, Look to thy manners, for thou art in the presence of the commander of the faithful. Asked he, How have I failed in good breeding before the commander of the faithful, and which of you is he? Quoth Jafar, He who went out but now to make water is the commander of the faithful, Harun al-Rashid, and I am the Vizier Jafar. And this is Masrur, the executioner, and this other is Abu Nuwas Hassan bin Hani. And now, O Ala al-Din, use thy reason and bethink thee how many days' journey it is between Cairo and Baghdad. He replied, 45 days. And Jafar rejoined, Thy baggage was stolen only 10 days ago. So how could the news have reached thy father? And how could he pack thee up other goods and send them to thee 45 days' journey in 10 days' time? Quoth Ala al-Din, O my lord, and whence then came they? From the commander of the faithful, replied Jafar, of his great affection for thee. As they were speaking, lo, the Caliph entered, and Ala al-Din, rising, kissed the ground before him and said, Allah keep thee, O Prince of the faithful, and give thee long life, and may the lieges never lack thy bounty and beneficence. Replied the Caliph, O Ala al-Din, let Zubaydah play us an air by way of housewarming for thy deliverance. Thereupon she played him on the lute so rare a melody that the very stones shook for glee, and the strings cried out for present ecstasy, O loving one. They spent the night after the merriest fashion, and in the morning the Caliph said to Ala al-Din, Come to the divan tomorrow. he answered, hearkening and obedience, O command of the faithful. So Allah will and thou be well and in good case. On the morrow, he took 10 trays and, putting on each a costly present, went up with them to the palace. And the Caliph was sitting on the throne when, behold, Ala al-Din appeared at the door of the divan, repeating these 2 couplets. Honour and glory wait on thee each morn. Thine envious noses in the dust be set. Never cease thy days to be as white as snow, thy foeman's days to be as black as jet. Welcome, O Ala al-Din, said the Caliph, and he replied, O commander of the faithful, the Prophet, whom Allah bless and the same, was wont to accept presents, and these 10 trays with what is on them are my offering to thee. The Caliph accepted his gift, and ordering him a robe of honor, made him provost of the merchants, and gave him a seat in the divan. And as he was sitting, behold, his father-in-law came in, and seeing Ala al-Din seated in his place and clad in a robe of honor, said to the Caliph, O King of the age, why is this man sitting in my place and wearing this robe of honor? Quoth the Caliph, I have made him provost of the merchants, for offices are by investiture and not in perpetuity, and thou art deposed. Answered the merchant, Thou hast done well, O commander of the faithful, for he is ours and one of us. Allah make the best of us the managers of our affairs. How many a little one hath become great. And the Caliph wrote Ala al-Din a firman of investiture, and gave it to the governor, who gave it to the crier, and the crier made proclamation in the divan, saying, None is provost of the merchants but Ala al-Din Abu Al Shamat, and his word is to be heard, and he must be obeyed with due respect paid, and he meriteth homage and honour and high degree. Moreover, when the divan broke up, the governor went down with the crier before Ala al-Din, and the crier repeated the proclamation, and they carried Ala al-Din through the thoroughfares of Baghdad, making proclamation of his dignity. Next day, Ala al-Din opened a shop for his slave Salim, and set him therein to buy and sell, whilst he himself rode to the palace and took his place in the Caliph's divan. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Now when it was the 260th night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Ala al-Din rode to the palace and took his place in the Caliph's divan. Now it came to pass one day, when he sat in his stead as he was wont, behold, one said to the Caliph, O commander of the faithful, may thy head survive such an one the companion, for he is gone to the mercy of Almighty Allah, but be thy life prolonged. Quoth the Caliph, Where is Ala al-Din Abu Al Shamat? So he went up to the commander of the faithful, who at once clad him in a splendid dress of honour, and made him his boon companion, appointing him a monthly pay and allowance of 1,000 dinars. He continued to keep him company until one day, as he sat in the divan, according to his custom, attending upon the Caliph, lo and behold, an emir came up, with sword and shield in hand, and said, O commander of the faithful, may thy head long outlive the head of the 60, for he is dead this day. Whereupon the Caliph ordered Ala al-Din a dress of honor and made him chief of the 60, in place of the other who had neither wife, nor son, nor daughter. So Ala al-Din laid hands on his estate, and the Caliph said to him, "Bury him in the earth, and take all he hath left of wealth, and slaves and handmaids." Then he shook the handkerchief and dismissed the divan. Whereupon Ala al-Din went forth, attended by Ahmad al-Danaf, captain of the right, and Hasan Shuman, captain of the left, riding at his either stirrup, each with his 40 men. Presently he turned to Hasan Shuman and his men and said to them, "Plead ye for me with the captain Ahmad al-Danaf, that he please to accept me as his son by covenant before Allah." And Ahmad assented, saying, "I and my 40 men will go before thee to the divan every morning." Now after this, Ala al-Din continued in the Caliph's service many days, till one day it chanced that he left the divan, and returning home dismissed Ahmad al-Danaf and his man, and sat down with his wife Zubaydah, the lute player, who lighted the wax candles and went out of the room upon an occasion. Suddenly he heard a loud shriek. So he rose up and, running in haste to see what was the matter, found that it was his wife who had cried out. She was lying at full length on the ground, and when he put his hand to her breast, he found her dead. Now her father's house faced that of Ala al-Din, and he, hearing the shriek, came in and said, "What is the matter, O my lord Ala al-Din?" He replied, "O my father, may thy head outlive thy daughter Zubaydah. But, O my father, honor to the dead is burying them." So when the morning dawned, they buried her in the earth, and her husband and father condoled with and mutually consoled each other. Thus far concerning her, but as regards Ala al-Din, he donned mourning dress and declined the divan, abiding tearful-eyed and heavy-hearted at home. After a while, the Caliph said to Ja'far, "O Vizier, what is the cause of Ala al-Din's absence from the divan?" The minister answered, "O Commander of the Faithful, he is in mourning for his wife Zubaydah, and he is occupied in receiving those who come to console him." And the Caliph said, "It behoveth us to pay him a visit of condolence." "I hear and I obey," said Ja'far. So they took horse, the Caliph and the minister and a few attendants, and rode to Ala al-Din's house, and as he was sitting at home, behold, the party came in upon him. Whereupon he rose to receive them and kissed the ground before the Caliph, who said to him, "Allah make good thy loss to thee." Answered Ala al-Din, "May Allah preserve thee to us, O Commander of the Faithful." Then said the Caliph, "O Ala al-Din, why hast thou absented thyself from the divan?" And he replied, "Because of my mourning for my wife Zubaydah, O Commander of the Faithful." The Caliph rejoined, "Put away grief from thee. Verily she is dead and gone to the mercy of Almighty Allah, and mourning will avail thee nothing, no, nothing." But Ala al-Din said, "O Commander of the Faithful, I shall never leave mourning for her till I die and they bury me by her side." Quoth the Caliph, "In Allah is compensation for every disease, and neither device nor riches can deliver from death. And divinely gifted was he who said, all sons of woman, eld long preserved, are born upon the bulging bier some day. How then shall joy man joy or taste the light, upon whose cheeks shall rest the dust and clay? When the Caliph had made an end of condoling with him, he charged him not to absent himself from the divan and return to his palace. And Ala al-Din, after a last sorrowful night, mounted early in the morning and, riding to the court, kissed the ground before the command of the faithful, who made a movement as if rising from the throne to greet and welcome him, and bade him take his appointed place in the divan, saying, O Ala al-Din, thou art my guest tonight. So presently he carried him into his seraglio, and calling a slave girl named Kut al-Kulub, said to her, Ala al-Din had a wife called Zubaydah, who used to sing to him and solace him of cark and care. But she is gone to the mercy of Almighty Allah, and now I would have thee play him an air upon the lute. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. That was it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I wish you a wonderful night, and I will see you on Thursday. Please tune in tomorrow. Joanna will be reading. And yeah, as usual, I just wish you a peaceful night, good sleep, put on some makeup if you feel like it, take it down if you don't. And yeah, those were some very wise words. Wow, Jesus. Yeah, and I'll just see you on Thursday. And as usual, remember to go inwards instead of outwards. Much love to you and thanks. Bye.